So I've been thinking recently, right now might be the best time for a fight between Tony Ferguson and Conor McGregor. Now, obviously, the fight is not as appealing as it would have been if they would have fought in their prime. Obviously, in their prime, this fight would have been very appealing, and I actually probably do favour. I actually favour Tony Ferguson winning in their prime. The reason why I favour Tony Ferguson winning in their prime is because, regardless of what you think about Tony Ferguson, he does have a hell of a chin and he can take a lot of punishment. And in his fights, there's been many times where he's been dropped and hurt, but he always finds a way to actually pull off the upset and somehow beat his opponents. And he's done it so many times. It's actually incredible. Even in fights where he's losing, even in fights where he's winning, he somehow gets hit and clipped. And prime Tony Ferguson was a tough SOB. I mean, he was a guy that you literally had to separate him from his senses to actually beat him. I remember a commentator saying that. So yeah, in my opinion, if they fought in their prime, I think obviously Conor McGregor was a formidable fighter in his prime, and I think he would have gave Tony Ferguson a lot of punishment. I think he would have hurt him plenty of times, but I think eventually Tony Ferguson, his superior conditioning, regardless of what you think about Tony Ferguson now, there's no denying the fact that in his prime he probably had one of the best gas tanks in the sport. The guy just never gassed out. I mean, he had great stamina in his time. I mean, he had probably the best gas tank I've ever seen in a lightweight. Apart from probably Nate Diaz could match him, but apart from a few other fighters out there, and probably Colby in his prime as well, apart from a few fighters out there, I just don't see anyone beating the guy in terms of stamina. In terms of pure stamina, there's no one else that could touch him. And Conor McGregor, regardless of what you think of him, you can't deny the fact that even in his prime he didn't have the best stamina. So if they were to fight in their prime, I actually would think that I think Tony Ferguson would weather an early barrage, an early storm that Conor McGregor usually puts on his opponents, but then eventually I think Tony Ferguson would win that particular fight just because of his superior conditioning, and I think he would get him into like a Kimura, get him into some submission hold and would just submit him. That's what I think would happen if they were to fight in their prime. But right now, with the way Tony Ferguson's been looking, I think I would actually favour Conor McGregor beating him. And I know Conor McGregor's not been looking the same himself, and his leg has been completely shattered from his last fight. He broke his ankle. He doesn't look as driven as he once was. He just doesn't look like he once did. I think it's fair to say that at this point in time, I think Tony Ferguson is just completely past it at this point. I think the beating that he took against Justin Gaethje has completely destroyed his career. I mean, he's just not the same anymore. So at this point in time, if they were to fight, say what you like about Conor McGregor, but I think he's got more left in the tank than Tony Ferguson has. I know everybody mentions his loss to obviously his loss to Justin Gaethje, which was traumatic for him, but you got to take into account he didn't just lose against Gaethje. He's got a loss against Charles Oliveira, which was complete domination. Then he's got his loss against Beneil Dariush as well now. So not only does he have the traumatic loss against Justin Gaethje, he has two other losses on his record which were equally traumatic as well. So I think Tony Ferguson's completely past that. I think anyone within the top 10 completely washes him. And I think that includes Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor showed flashes of his old self. Like, it wasn't exactly him, but he came out with a different stance, and he obviously looked like he was trying to be what he once was, even though he isn't that anymore. But I do think he's got more left in his tank than Tony Ferguson does. So I'd actually favour him to actually beat. I would actually favour him to beat Tony Ferguson at this point. A lot of people might just think, you know what, I'm talking like they might actually pick that Tony Ferguson would win, but at this point in time, I just think it's easy to just see that Tony Ferguson would actually lose against Conor McGregor at this point in time. I know they were part of the same management team, and there was talks about them fighting in the past. As a Tony Ferguson fan, obviously for Conor McGregor it might be a good win because I want to say it'll be an easy victory, but it's an easier fight for him than other fights that could potentially happen in the lightweight division. But I think a fight between him and Tony Ferguson is a good scalp to get on his record. If I was a manager of Conor McGregor, I'd probably try getting a fight with Tony Ferguson, just because he is so past it, but he's still a name that the mixed martial arts community absolutely adore. Obviously, Tony Ferguson does have a bit of a cult following, so a fight between him and Conor McGregor would be massive, and I think it's a very viable win for Conor McGregor. I think Conor McGregor could beat Tony Ferguson, but I could be wrong. Maybe he's got one more good fight left in him. So if they were to fight in their prime, I think Tony Ferguson would easily beat Conor McGregor. But if they were to fight right now, I think I would favour Conor McGregor beating Tony Ferguson. But yeah, that's just my opinion. Tell me your opinion. Who do you think would win between Tony Ferguson and Conor McGregor, and who would you bet your money on if they were to fight right now? If they were to fight in their prime, who do you think would have won, and who do you think would win right now? And like and subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot more content coming your way. Peace out.